things that they do. And so Baldo, which you guys heard, who's been a district manager, top assistant manager, Cutco sales, and he's worked all the different rankings in our business, has sold a lot of knives, has helped a lot of other people sell a lot of knives, has been in different leadership roles, for him to share with you guys just keys to Rack and Recs. And then we'll do a 5-minute, use the bathroom, do jumping jacks, do some push-ups, get the energy flowing. Grab whoever didn't get the copies earlier, make sure you get the copies for your book, which I have up here and over there, and then we'll dive in. All right, so all you.
Thank you, Kathy. So I'm pretty pumped, actually. I think I've decided to go for a 20K push. I haven't been doing pushes in a while because I just keep working a lot all the time, and I'm pretty pumped right now. And we're lucky to have Kathy. We really are. Like, I know that when I first, was a DM and all that, she was always badass. And when she was coming down to Houston to be a division manager, I was super excited, but then I had to leave for the Costco program. So now that I'm back again, it's been pretty exciting and got a lot of big dreams. But we got a great leader, so thanks, Kathy. Recommendations. So I'm pretty excited about this talk. I think that there's, if you look at the 4 parts of the business, the 4 main parts is phones, getting leads, making some sales, right? And recommendations, phones, and appointments, right? So for me, phones, I feel, as far as like success, is probably like the most important thing to get on the phone, right? But you can't, like, it's not like it's not as exciting to have to do phone time if you don't have a lot of people to call. Like, how many of you guys would agree that phone time would be a lot more fun if you had like 500 people to call, right? It'd just be a lot more fun. But it's also the reason I say that calls is really important is because it's also like the one thing you have like 100% control of. So like even if you just have one lead, you have control. You can call that one lead like 50 times if you really wanted to. You can control it. It sucks, but you can control that, right? So one of the things I love about our job is that I get to travel a lot, and I get to go to different places, and if I wanted to, I could just pick up work. One of the reasons I also like giving this talk is because I've started from scratch in 4 different cities, and always built my business over again, right? So when I decided, I told you guys this earlier, when I decided to come back to Houston, even though I was kind of, raised in Houston, I never lived where I live now. And, and I wanted to do those leads there. So this talk is also good for, like, if you're going back to school and you continue to work out there, or if you're living here, but you want to do specifically, like, some appointments, like a specific part of Houston, or, the rich part, the poor part, like the fun part, whatever it is, you can use this as well too. And so from that, I want to show you guys, like, yes, goals, like Andy mentioned, goals is the most important thing to share to get lots of recommendations, right? And so for me, one of my goals throughout the next 7 years is to save $1 million, right? And I share this with my customers so that way I can take a whole year off and go climb a few mountains, right? That, it's a big dream of mine to do the 7 summits. And so I always share that with my customers. I like to share. The way that I like to share is that sometimes when I'm setting up, I'll just give them my and we've been doing this for service calls as well too. I just give them a list of all my goals and just ask them if they have any advice on them or any tips, or like, do you have any suggestions on how to get this done? And it just starts to build a lot of rapport with them. And just while I'm setting up, and obviously we can mention them afterwards as well too. But also, before I forget, get your recommendation sheet. You guys still use this out, because we're going to kind of make some not notes on it, but just looking at the recommendations. So I don't have a numbers as far as, like, I got 10 tips, but there are going to be several tips. This first one, as far as like getting tons and tons of recommendations, is ask anyone and everyone. Ask anyone and everyone. So I mentioned earlier how when I moved back to Houston, there was this one lady that I went out jogging, and I kind of sat down on the bench, and there was another lady just sitting there. and she ended up giving me 300 recommendations because I shared my goals with her, right? And at that point, it was like, hey, I'm moving back to school for my MBA, but in the meantime, I'm working with this company to help me pay for my, for school, for scholarships, and just shared my goals of why I was doing that. I let them know that I was already in the company, but I had moved. I moved away so that way I could be here, closer to my family, and and just be able to build a business. And she just bought into my. There was a lot more to that, but she just bought into my story. So she wanted to give me recommendations, and like I considered, you're the only reason they wouldn't recommendation is if they don't like you, right? And so and there's no reason for you guys not to be liked unless you're going in there just being completely rude, but. So from starting from scratch, I just needed a fresh set of leads, and so that's how I got started. And so right here where it says on your recommendation approach, knowing your recommendation approach, it says I'm not looking for people who you think would buy, just nice people like you willing to take a look. I always like to add about my goals earlier. So like I'll mention again. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to share my goals, right? So even if you were to write down just 10 more people and no one bought anything, that would still be an extra $160 or whatever what's the base pay now? 16 bucks, right? That I can put towards my books, or that I can put towards my next class that I want to pay off. Right, and so just resharing the goals right there. I'm not looking for people you think would buy, just people nice enough to take a look, because like I mentioned earlier, this is my goals, right? And just mention your goals once again. And so even if you were to write down 10 people and no one buy anything, that would still help me out with this, right? And obviously this has, they are gonna buy, right? Do you guys want me to repeat it one more time? Okay. So I'm not looking for people who you think would buy, just nice enough like you willing to take a look. So you guys already have that, right? But like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to mention your goals. So even if you just wrote down whatever you're asking already for, like if you're asking for 15 or 20, and no one bought anything, that would still help me towards my goals. The third one is organization. Okay, so making sure you have a recommendations book. Does everyone keep a recommendations book nice and tidy and all that? Okay. So having them, Andy mentioned earlier about having different lists and stuff. That works out great. I always like to number them, right? So as far as the actual recommendations and putting stars, and you guys probably do all that already. Excuse me. So then whenever you're trying to show your customers, you're doing the flipping of the pages, right? Flipping of the pages, let's show you your friend so-and-so gave me 20, your friend so-and-so gave me 10, and just going back and forth. I remember doing one part where I was even making just fake names and a bunch of phone numbers, just so that way I can see, hey, everybody's giving me 30 or 40, and then making a competition out of it. Obviously, bribing them would be the next one as well too. Make it fun. Bribe them is number 4. So right here we have, you can become a sponsor. If once you give me 50 sponsors, I get a free piece of Cutco from my manager. I always like to do the free items for them to put them on their orders. The way that I used to do that is whenever their friends are buying, I just put an extra piece and say, hey, this is going to be for someone else. This is going to be for your friend that recommended me to you because she won. Because she gave me 10 people and 10 people bought, and then she gets a free piece of Cutco. So just make sure you give it to her, right? And so then that's what does she want to do? She's probably going to want to give you some more demos. Some more recommendations as well. So free items, bribe them as much as possible. Maybe give them a free. You can call your manager, see if you can do an extra free item if they're going to, if they're going to give you 30 or 40 or 50. But but yes, the most important part on there is definitely mentioning your goals, to tie them into your to what you're doing and why they should, you know, introduce you to your friends, right? So for me, that's got to be, you know, that's probably going to be the most important part to me, making sure that they're tied into you, is showing them lots of goals. The more whys you have, the more reason for them to want to help you out as well too. And for yourself to keep yourself motivated as well, to make sure that, you know, that you're focused on why you're doing what you're doing, why you're working so hard, and you know, and go back to school and have some money and have some good accomplishments under your belt as well too. So I want to have some questions, and if you guys have any questions for me, or anything else? Okay, all right, thanks you guys.
Thank you.